Hi, I'm Amy McCarty. I'm a theater teacher at Hudson Bend Middle School.
And I'm Jen Lutringer, Theater Arts at Lake Travis Middle School.
So theater arts students are the students who mostly use the sound system in our cafeterias, and that's why theater arts students are responsible for learning how to set up, run, maintain, and store our sound console. Console is a fancy name for board. This sound console is made by a company called Allen and Heath, and the model number is the GLD80.
While some of the setup details from school to school may differ, the basics are still the same. And one thing you should know is that Ms. McCarty and I have learned about this board through trainings and videos and reading the manual. So everything we're sharing with you today, we have learned. It might seem overwhelming at first, but it's very possible to learn this information if you're patient and take your time. There are videos online if you want to learn fancy new tricks. However, we ask that you do not change any settings, because if you go in and you don't know exactly what you're doing, we don't know exactly how to fix it. So you will be held financially responsible if we have to pull in a professional to fix your mistake.
Any student who plans on using this board during the year needs to complete the entire training. You might be one of our advanced students who's running sound for a show. You might be a tech theater student who does sound for assemblies or concerts. No matter what, if you touch this board during the year, you absolutely need to complete the entire training. So even if you've worked with this board last year, we need you to refresh yourself on the training again this year, because if you're like us, we forget things over the summer, and this is a really complex system, and we want to make sure that every student who uses it knows exactly what they're doing.
Even if you have received training, be sure you check in every time you use the board. Be sure you have director permission.
By the time you finish the training, you should be able to set the board up and to run sound for a show or an assembly. Please take your time. This is a very complex system, and if you get stuck or confused, do not hesitate to ask your director for help. We hope you enjoyed the video. So to connect your console, first you need to locate your cables. One cable is labeled D-Snake and one cable is labeled Expander. You'll want to make sure that your D-Snake cable goes into the slot labeled D-Snake on the back of the console. Push it till it clicks, and make sure your expander cable goes into the expander input on the back of your console. Push it till it clicks. Additionally, you will need to connect your power source into the 3-pronged power outlet on the back. So after your cables are connected into your sound console, locate the D-Snake and expander outlets on the wall. They're labeled D-Snake and expander. You'll push the D-Snake cable into the D-Snake outlet on the wall and the expander cable into the expander outlet on the wall. Make sure not to get those cables crossed. If you put the cables in the wrong outlets, the sound console will not work. Additionally, you'll make sure that your power cable is connected to a power source that is of course connected to the wall. When you're disconnecting, you'll simply pull out your power source, and when you disconnect your D-Snake and expander cables, be sure to push the lever on the bottom hard and then pull it out. If you simply yank it, it will break the cable. So you push the button on the bottom of the cable and then you pull it out.
To power the board on, first ensure it's plugged into the wall. Then reach in the top left-hand corner behind and you will find a rocker switch. Click it on and wait. It is a computer, so it takes a while to load. Don't mess with any buttons while it's loading, just be patient and wait. You will know it's fully on when the screen is lit up.
So when you first look at the soundboard, you might feel a little overwhelmed because there are many buttons and knobs, but it can be broken down into 2 banks. Bank 1 is on the left side of the board. Bank 1 controls all of your inputs. Inputs would be things like wireless microphones, wired microphones, possibly auxiliary cords. Bank 2 controls your outputs, which means the sound that goes from the console to the main speakers in the cafeteria. Within each bank there are layers, A, B, C, and D. Each layer contains different inputs. To figure out which layer controls which inputs, simply push the different layer buttons, and you will see that the LCD labels change above each channel. For example, layer A controls mics 1 through 12, Layer B controls mics 13 through 20 plus ceiling mics, and Layer C controls wireless mics. At Hudson Bend Middle School and Lake Travis Middle School, there's a chance that layers will contain different inputs, and that's okay. You can figure out what input is on what channel by reading the labeled LCD above each channel. Also notice that when I toggle between the layers, the channels change because the last thing that you set a channel to, the board remembers that and will go back to until you physically change the channel yourself. On bank 2, we want to leave that on layer A because that controls our main house speakers, and those are the speakers we use for every single thing we do with the soundboard. So, now that you've learned how to control the master volume, let's talk about controlling individual devices. Each individual device has a channel, and if you can't remember which channel goes to which device, remember you can read the label on the LCD screen above each channel. Each channel has its own fader, and with this fader you control the volume for that device. In general, you want to keep your volume around the 0 level, and don't forget to watch your lights above the mute button because we don't want our lights to go into the yellow or the red because those can blow out a speaker. Also, you have a mute button on each channel. If you don't want to hear any sound coming out of the device, push the mute button and it will turn red. When you're ready to hear the device, push it and it stops glowing. You will not touch the green, the blue, or the gray buttons. On each channel, you'll only use the fader and the mute button.
To control the master volume, find the channel or channels that are labeled main. These control all of your inputs and their volumes. We really want to leave the master at a consistent level because if you're turning up or down the volume of the main, it's going to affect everybody. That endangers our speakers and it also messes with the mix. If you're not hearing a response from your devices, you might have to unmute the main channels, and you do that by hitting this mute button. You can see that the mute is off because the light is off.
To play music or sound effects from an external device such as your phone, your iPod, an iPad, or a CD player, you'll need to connect it to an auxiliary cord. Our auxiliary cord is going to get plugged in to the ports in the back of the sound console, numbers 45 and 46. This is a standard auxiliary cord. You will make sure before you plug your device in, you will need to locate the channel that the auxiliary device feeds into. You may need to go through your layers to find it. Here at Lake Travis Middle School, that channel is labeled board. At Hudson Bend, it's labeled 45, 46. Please make sure it's muted before you plug your device in to avoid any harsh sounds. You'll plug your device in, and I suggest having your device volume turned all the way up, and then you'll control the individual volume on your channel, just like any other input on your board. If you're not getting great sound quality, make sure that your cord is plugged all the way into the back of the sound console, and check to see your cord connection into your device. If your case is obstructing your device, you will not get good sound quality. From then, you can control your auxiliary device using the channel on the board.
All right, to use the handheld mic, you're going to turn it on with the on-off switch. You just slide it into the on position and wait for the red light to turn green. There is a bit of a delay, so just be patient. When you are testing, be sure you test with your voice, not your hand. If you hit the microphone, you're destroying the little web of filaments of fibers that are in the microphone that actually pick up the sound and will do damage. So use your voice. When you use your voice, it is a unidirection mic, meaning one direction. So you want to go into this direction, not this way. Hold it at an appropriate distance, not down by your navel and not all up in your mouth gathering your spit, at an appropriate distance. If you're not receiving a signal, or if you're about to start a show, you may want to check the battery level. You can check the battery level with the bars in the little battery shape. If you want to change the battery, first turn the microphone off and wait for it to fully be off. Then, lefty-loosey, unscrew the bottom, and you will gently remove the battery. Careful to not pull the inside of the microphone out with it. put this battery in your discard pile and grab a new one. Notice there's a small and a large connector. That needs to go in the corresponding socket into the microphone. Gently push and make sure it gets in there appropriately. Then gently tighten the bottom. Careful to not over tighten because it will crack the case. Then check and see if your battery is fully operable. When you are checking a microphone, I suggest you say check microphone wireless 3, wireless 3, wireless 3, or whatever number of microphone you're holding, so the soundboard operator knows which microphone to adjust the volume with.
So if you're trying to figure out who has which mic on stage, ideally you would have a really good list in front of you already of who's using which mic. But if you don't know and you're in a sticky situation, what you can do is watch for a signal light on your board. Remember, you may need to toggle through the layers to find the specific mic. So when an actor or singer is speaking or singing into the mic, there will be a signal light on the board that shows exactly which mic they're using. So let's talk about your lapel mics. Our lapel mics are going to be mics that clip on to an actor or actress's costume so that they can be hands-free while they're performing. So there are two parts to the lapel mic. There's the battery pack, and then there's the mic itself. Actors and actresses will need to clip their lapel mic somewhere close to their face in a place that won't get hit by hair or accessories. If an actor or actress doesn't have any costuming to clip it to, you may need to create something to clip it securely underneath their chin. You will take the battery pack and clip it somewhere to the back side of your costume. We do not want to put these in our pockets because when you sit down, they can easily fall out and damage the expensive microphone. There is a clip on the back side that will help you clip it to your costume, to a belt, to a waistband. If you don't have anything on your backside to clip it to, you may need to create something for your costume to make that happen. To turn your lapel mic on, there's an on-off switch at the top. Just like the handheld mics, when you turn it on at first, it's red, and then it turns green when it's ready. There's a battery indicator. For shows, we want to have 2 or 3 batteries. To turn it off, you simply push the button the other way. There are other buttons on the lapel mic. Please do not touch any button except for the on and off button. To change the battery on the lapel mic, there is an access door on the bottom. You push it open, and your 9-volt battery comes out. You put your old 9-volt battery in your discard pile, you get a new 9-volt battery, and the 9-volt batteries are polarized. You match the big part with the big hole and the little part with the little hole in the access door, and you close your battery door and check it and make sure that your levels are correct. Please note that this antenna is very fragile, and if it gets damaged or broken, your microphone will not work well, and it could be very costly to replace.
Okay, admin, this is for you. Sometimes the convenience mic will freak out and it will reset itself. This is how you fix it. You turn it on and you look at the group and the channel number. Here at Lake Travis, we want it to be a 110. If it's not there, we need to reset it. At Hudson Bend or at Lake Travis, you want this number to match the receiver in the hot room. So you can always double check where the convenience mic receiver is in backstage. So to change this number, first you hold the mode button down until you will see that it goes into selection mode. Only group is showing now. Then you can use the other side, set, to actually scroll through the different numbers. Let's go to 1. And then you press mode once to set that, and now it will go to channel. And now you can scroll through the numbers to change your channel number until you reach 10, and to set that, you press the other button, mode, and then now all of a sudden you have 110. If you can't quite figure that out, don't be shy to just hold the button down and try something out. That's sometimes what I do. Once you kind of get the hang of it, it sort of starts explaining itself. Now, occasionally, the microphone will set itself to a completely different group. It's alphabetical. The way you do that is you hold the set button down until it goes through the same process of selection. It only does that when it's messed up. I can't demonstrate that right now. It's weird. So good luck. Don't be afraid to push those down. If you have the same problem with the lapel, it's the same process. You turn the microphone on and you hold either the mode button down until it goes into selection mode or the set button down. Good luck.
When you're ready to turn off your sound console, remember, just like you would not yank the power cord on your computer out of the wall, you won't do that on the soundboard either because it's a computer and it's very delicate and expensive. First, please remember to mute all of your channels. Don't forget to toggle between your layers and make sure that every single input is muted, and also please mute your masters before you power it down. This will prevent feedback when you turn the board back on. When you're ready to power it down after you've muted everything, make sure the processing button is pushed, and then you'll use the touch screen display to push the red power down button. Sometimes you have to push it harder than others. It will ask for a confirmation. You'll push yes, and it will give you a message that says it's now safe to turn off your soundboard.
If you're not getting any sound from the soundboard at all, you should double check and make sure that your expander and D-snake cables are plugged into the appropriate outlets, both at the board and at the wall.
If you're having difficulty hearing an individual device, first locate the channel that device is on. Don't forget, you may need to toggle through the layers to find your device. Check to see if your device is accidentally muted or if the individual fader for that device is too low. Remember, we want to keep the volume for individual channels around 0, but sometimes if you have a quieter actor or actress or a quieter instrument, you might have to bump it up to get more volume. So if you're having difficulty hearing sound, the first thing you should check is your master volume. Is your master volume muted, or is your master volume turned down too low? So if your microphones are not producing the kind of quality that you'd like, there are several things that could be wrong. First, check out your individual mic channel and make sure that it's not muted, and make sure that the volume is turned up to an appropriate level. If that doesn't fix the problem, you might want to check your batteries. If you have 1 bar of battery or no bars of batteries, go ahead and change your battery and see if that improves the quality. If that's not working, you might want to check and make sure that you don't have both lapel and handheld mics that are on the same channel turned on. If lapel mic 3 and handheld mic 3 are both on, they will cancel each other out and will not work, or will work very, very poorly. So make sure they're not turned on at the same time. With your lapel mic, there are several other things that can cause poor audio quality. For example, if an actor or actress's hair or accessories are touching this foam part, that can cause a pretty ugly noise. Also, sometimes if this cord is flopping around on an actor's body, that can also make an unpleasant sound. There is one issue that I've come up with, and that is that sometimes the microphone underneath the phone gets unscrewed. If you think that that might be a problem, talk to your teacher, and she will help you figure it out. There could also be a problem with the antenna connection. Again, if you think that's a problem, ask your teacher, and she'll help you figure it out. There are many buttons on these microphones besides the on-off switch. Please don't touch those, but do know that your director may have to touch them to change microphone channels to get your mic sounding correct.
If you are not getting any sound from your soundboard, there's a chance that the main power tower backstage is turned off. Here you can see the receivers for all of the wireless devices and the amps. They are illuminated so you know they're on. To turn them off, you would turn the key switch. You can see that they turn off because the lights turn off. We do this for holidays like winter break and summer vacation. To turn them back on, you simply turn the key switch and you will see everything power back on. We also have this convenience mixer backstage with the power tower. If you are not receiving sound, there's a chance one of your channels is muted back here. At Hudson Bend, the master must be muted in order for the soundboard to work effectively. If your lightboard or wall station console is not responding, there's a chance you have to turn it on backstage at the touch screen in the hot room. First, touch the screen, then enter the secret password. Down here at the right, 8669, enter, and that will take you to the main menu. You press to turn on LED power. You will hear the breakers turning on over here. Occasionally, if they don't all turn on, there may be a problem. Here you can see they all turned on just fine. To switch control between the wall station and the console, press this button. You will see it change colors and know that it has changed power. These two buttons are the only ones we should really use. After you're done, press home and it will log you out.